All right, we have Jay Perrin on the show. He returns to action January 25th at Cage Titans 47. He takes on Diego Silva at 140 pounds. Happy to have the Cage Titans bantamweight champion here. Jay, how are you, sir?
I am wonderful. How are you, my good friend?
I'm doing great. You have the luscious locks of hair going on. We were just talking about that before we hit record here. But, you know, in regards to your fighting career, it's been about 5 or so months since we've last seen you compete. You're coming off the appearance on the Contender Series. We'll touch on that fight in a moment. But how excited are you to just get back in there, kick off this new year right on January 25th?
Oh, my God, dude. I need violence in my life. I just need to fight a stranger for money. I'm so excited, man, because the last 5 months I've been battling a lot. From the Contender Series, I didn't get the nod, and whatever. Dana said that I won, and that's cool, but that didn't really – it doesn't matter at the end of the day. If he says that I won, I need to go and produce. And I think I rode that a little bit too much. I got depressed, and I wasn't in the right mindset for a few months. I would say 3 of those 5 months that I've been gone, and in the last month and a half, my mentality has just switched back to what I would call my roots. And I'm reinvigorated to display that I just love to do this, man. I just lost sight of that. I love to do it, and that's what makes me so good. So I'm really excited to just get in there and be as violent as I possibly can be to make the point that the Contender Series, that Dana wasn't wrong. Dana wasn't wrong, and I belong with the elite. I'm in the most stacked division in the world. I get it, and I need to produce. And on the 25th, I intend to.
Have you felt that way before, coming off of a fight or coming off of a loss, kind of falling into a depression like that, or is this the first time that's happened to you?
You know what? I get into depression. I don't know if this happens for everybody, so I can't really speak to that. But I think that even depression happens even after a victory for a lot of fighters. Mostly because, and in my case, I could say that there's been some fights that I expected to be an all-out war, and it wasn't. I just dominated it, and then I left, and that left me kind of unsatisfied because I wanted the war. Or, if you think about it, man, like in that 15, 25 minutes that we're in there, people treat us like gods. People look at us like we're superheroes even, the lights, the everything. And then, once it's over, win or lose, it's just gone. You know what I mean? It's just done now. Now you're a regular person, and you're not a fighter anymore unless you're in the UFC and you're established or things like that. And I think so. I think depression happens a lot in the fight world because once that high is gone, it's hard to replicate that in any part of your life. So I think, yeah, it's happened to me after my first Bellator loss, and then my last one, was a deeper kind because I think the last one was because I knew I should have won, and it's really like, dude, you should have fucking finished. God damn it, you did everything but finish. And that's where it came. It's like the one thing you could have done better, you didn't do, and that's what cost you. And so, yeah, I think it happens a lot more than people think.
You mentioned, sort of being in that mindset for 3 out of the 5 months. About a month and a half ago, you've sort of snapped back into it. You realize that it's about the love for the sport. All the other stuff doesn't really matter. I mean, you obviously want to get to where you want to be. You'd love to be in the UFC, but it's about just fighting and just loving the sport. Do you remember the moment when you were able to snap back out of it and get back to that mindset about being a fighter and just loving fighting?
I looked myself in the mirror, quite literally. And I have mirror talks occasionally, and it was just like a long stare, and it's like, what am I doing, man? I just realized it was, I think I got caught up in social media a little bit too much is really what happened. A lot of people that aren't me, you know what I mean? That's they get better push or maybe social media push than maybe I do, or they get more exposure than I do. And I was comparing myself to other people. And I think that's what had to do with the mindset that I was in is that, why don't I get this and this person does? Why do they get so many likes on this post? Or why do they get sponsors and I don't? And, it was a poor me attitude, and that's just not me. I'm not a poor me kind of person. So I think I got caught up in the wrong part of the game. I'm trying to, get the money and the business, and I'm trying to be better at that. And I've tried to focus on that, but I focus too much on it because at the end of the day, winning fights is what gets me what I want. And for so long, I've been a dark horse, and I think that people overlook me for whatever reason that they do. And I guess with the Contender Series, I had expected for more doors to open. Just even with a loss, even with that, I thought that I was going to have some more opportunities to maybe make money or, go places or travel or be invited. And I wasn't. And it was a harsh realization because I needed to win, I think that I just looked at myself in the mirror and I said, fuck this, man. If I keep winning, they can't ignore me forever. So instead of just chasing it, I'm just going to wait for them to come to me. I'm going to give them the option. They can't ignore me. There's no way. If I just crush 4 skulls after being on ESPN, there's no way you can tell me that I don't belong. So that was the moment, really. It was just a good look in the mirror and realize that I'm focused on the wrong thing.
Were you able to take away at least something from that experience on the Contender Series? I mean, obviously you're not finding a ton of silver linings. I mean, you have Dana White on ESPN Plus saying that he thought you won the fight. I actually did a live blog of that fight. I had scored it for you as well. I think I scored the first round for him, but I scored rounds 2 and 3 for you. So, I mean, at least most people think you won that fight. Are you able to at least find any silver lining in that? And then outside of that, what did you at least take away from that experience?
Silver lining is that I was under the bright lights. I was under the cameras and the screens and the people, and Dana White's 5 feet from me, and I didn't feel any of that shit. I knew that the lights don't scare me. What gives me the trick with that is that I was a theater kid before I was a fighter. So I did theater, and there was just, there's 500 people just staring at you like all the time. So I'm used to people with like bright lights and stuff like that. So I was always wondered if, once the UFC came, if I would freeze under that. And I don't think that I did. I think I did great. My numbers were better. I learned that I shouldn't keep my fate in other people's hands. Is that really what it is? I've had 3 decisions in a row, and before that, I finished 5 people straight. And that's what got me here. So I need to go back to my finishing ways, be more aggressive. Silver linings. I believe Dwight's a D1 All-American. I picked him up over my head and slammed him. So that was pretty dope a couple of times. So, I think my wrestling showed. I think I showed that I'm very multifaceted, from the clinch game to wrestling to I can box to I can kickbox. I'm not a slouch anywhere. So I think I displayed a good skill set for the world. I hope, one day they put it on YouTube so I can actually, post the fucking fight. But I think that I did well under the bright lights. Dana White knows my name. Sean Shelby knows my name. All I got to do is produce 1 or 2 more good performances, and I'm going after $50,000 checks.
So you get back to work in a couple of weeks on the road to getting to where you want to be. But I have to ask you about something, because it seemed like in November you were on a collision course with Johnny Campbell. I know you guys fought before. You won a decision back in 2018, but it seemed like, at least on social media, things were starting to head in that direction. And you both end up on the same card, but with different opponents. What happened there, or was this never really a thing?
So really it was, I don't know. I don't really know if it was ever a thing. It's always a thing between me and Johnny. Me and Johnny can't help but fucking chirp at each other, for whatever reason. I really don't even hate the guy. I just think that he says dumb stuff, and I can't help myself. But with the whole Johnny thing, I had no problem. There's this little rumor mill going around that I'm afraid to fight Johnny again, and that is just fucking false. It is just incorrect. Me, it's from a business standpoint, going back to it, is I fought the guy in August, last August or August before Dwight, right? It doesn't, if I'm going to make the argument for the UFC, how much more argument does it make to beat the same guy within a year and a half? Do you know what I mean? If I fight him and win, despite whatever, it's the same name. So if I go to Sean Shelby, hey, I beat this guy, I beat him up pretty good. And he goes, well, you beat him already. You beat a guy you already beat. So that doesn't prove to me that you've, you know what I mean? Improved it all. I just, Like I said, it was more removed. I even said now, dude, he's fighting Jeff Perez. He's fighting my teammate, which I don't think he's going to win. But if he does, and then he wants to make that claim, that's an absolute possibility we could do that. Should I not get a call? I go in there, I rail Diego, which I'm going to do. And he goes, look, man, I beat your teammate. Let's fight in June or whatever. Fucking A right, dude, you deserved it. But it's mostly I fought Johnny, then I fought Kin, and I fought 2 other people within a year, and then he wanted to fight again. And it's dude, fighting a year between each other just doesn't make much upside for me. For him, he would have won, say he wins the fight. Well, he just beat a guy who was on the Contender Series, right? And he moves up with stock even more. I just got off the Contender Series and beat a guy I already beat. That doesn't help my stock in any regard. So that was really my reasoning behind it. It wasn't that I won't fight him. I would genuinely enjoy punching him in the face again. Absolutely. For whatever money you want to give me. But at this point, I'm trying to move forward in my career, get different looks. If we need a rematch when it makes sense, then fine. And I'm not even saying it's that far off. I'm just saying within a year of each other, it doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? And if it was like a split decision, that would make sense. But I beat you in every single round of that fight. It's not like it was unanimous across the board. You know what I mean? If it was closer, I probably would have even considered it more. But it wasn't. You know, it's like getting knocked out and going, yeah, dude, I was totally in there, you know, until I went unconscious. You know, it doesn't make sense. So that was really the Johnny Campbell thing. Will we fight again in the future? I'm fucking sure we will at some point. We just can't help but stay away from each other. So will it happen? Maybe. But I'm certainly not afraid of Johnny Cupcakes. I don't think he gets through my friend Jeff in however many days we got left. But if he does, then, you know, we can talk.
All right. Well, thank you for clearing that up. I'm going to talk to Johnny tomorrow, so I'm sure he'll have, you know, his own story on that. But I mean, I was just curious, just, you know, from that aspect. No
sense, and he'll say something fucking ridiculous, and then hey, whatever. You know what I mean?
Well, let's focus on what's in front of you. You get Diego Silva, 12-5 pro from Brazil. He trains in Florida, and he trains with a pretty good team. He's got guys like Mike Davis and Phil Rowe and Julian Williams, who's a really bright prospect as well, and some other guys. This is a hell of a fight, man. How did this one come together for you getting a guy outside the region? Is this something that Mike Pulver brought to your attention?
I was actually, what happened was we really just found the first fight that we could get. We came down to, we had a few names, and, you know, it was over the holidays. So a couple of them were like, nah, we don't want to cut weight during the holidays. Or, you know, we're fat right now, we don't want to do it. And God, you know, it's at 140. You know what I mean? It's not like I wasn't that fat either. I just wanted to fight. And what happened is that about a month out, you know, a little under a month out, is when we actually got the Diego fight. And it's like 3 weeks of either just cutting weight and not focusing on the opponent, or just do a catch weight, have a good fight, don't be depleted, and have a good performance. So that's how that came about. I had like 4 names. I think we went for John Duma, and a couple of other people. I just wanted a challenging fight, man. I wanted a challenge. I didn't want to come off the Contender Series and fight a can and then come off, you know, and get in that way. I wanted to beat a guy that's legitimate. They're like, you got 1 or 2 fights and we'll get you in. And I'm like, all right, well, if it's that one fight is against a legitimate top guy, then and I beat them because I believe that I can, then the argument is hard to make that I shouldn't be there. Diego came along. We originally slated to fight, I think, his teammate, and his visa didn't work out, and Diego was up for it. And I'm like, all right, word, let's do it. And that was pretty much it, you know.
Did you know much about him once the fight was signed?
I literally, my coach sent me his name, his profile, and like a link to one of his fights. I watched it for 45 seconds and said, yep, send that shit, because I'm going to whoop the fuck out of this guy. And I just think stylistically, he's just, you know what, if I'm going to talk shit at all, I'm sure that is something, the man has no heart. I've watched him wilt. You know what I mean? You break. And that's something that I just don't do. You just don't break. I won't break. And I'll keep coming at you the whole time. And I've watched him wilt against, particularly Russell Doan was who he had wilted against in the second round. And Russell, I don't know much about Russell, but what I watched from that fight was basic Muay Thai and some wrestling defense. That's what helped. That's what beat Diego. Not even beat him, but broke him. If you watch the second and third round of that fight, he literally wilts and like covers up like this. In the third round, he's literally shelled up against the cage in a seated position for 46 seconds while Russell unloads on him. And then Russell backs up, gives him the opportunity to stand up, and instead of doing that, he just sat there and covered up in a shell because he broke. And that's just absurd if you think that kind of mentality is going to beat me. You're not going to beat me like that. So I just thought, I'm like, easy money. This kid is he's wild. His wrestling's good. Give him that. Got great body lock takedowns. That's about it. That's all I really got for him. I don't really care that he's a black belt. I'm not really, I don't really care who he trains with. Great people. I've seen what he does on fight night, and it's not impressive to me. So,
talk about who you're working with to get you ready for this one. I know you're at Sityo Tong. the name just says it all. But who are
Yeah.
some of the guys specifically you're working with over there to get you ready for this fight in that style?
Jeff Perez is one. He's a heavy wrestler, real good brown belt out of SBG East Coast. Kin Moy, which was my opponent in January, we were longtime friends. He's one of the oldest and biggest staples in New England MMA. He's been around forever. He's fought everyone from Saul Almeida to Rob Font to, he's fighting Tateki Matsuda. This guy's an animal. You know what I mean? Stand-up wise, overall. Kin brought the best performance out of me because he's so good when we fought. We bring in all kinds of people from everywhere. We got the guys from Citadel Martial Arts, the guys from Junico. We got, Jits from Jits black belts on up. I don't know if you know who Lucas Cruz is. It's one of my teammates at my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school, Brazil 021. Anderson Silverio, who's my coach, who's an animal. He trained with Jacare back in the day. My crew has not gotten much different. We add little pieces here and there. But I think that style-wise, what I have around me, Jeff is a better wrestler and a better MMA grappler than Diego is. Kin is an overall far better striker than him. Oh my God, is Diego's hands garbage. They're so bad. It's just so bad. I'm sorry. Like, I don't even know what to say to it. It's so bad. I think what Diego's going to try and do is he's going to wait for me to overcommit on my strikes. He's going to try and shoot in for my hips and take me down and then just hold me there. Because I've never seen the man go for a submission ever in a fight. So the guys around me they're high pressure. They push me back. They're always in my face. If I throw 3 punches, they're throwing 5. So my wars in the gym are going to be far more intense than the one that I have with Diego. I guarantee that.
So how do you kick off 2020 in a big way on January 25th? How does this all go down at Plymouth Memorial Hall? How do you get this done?
I'm going to knock him the fuck out. That's what I'm going to – fuck. I need a knockout, honestly. I need one. I really do. I'm like, I had a few, I've had a few submissions. So I've established myself, and people think that I'm like just a grappler for some reason. But I've been boxing since I was 6 years old. So what I've worked on, and I'll say this, okay, so anything new, what I worked on in this camp is mostly my jiu-jitsu not because he's a black belt, but because when you feel more comfortable off your back, you're more likely to just let your hands go. Right? You're just going to, I don't give a shit if you take me down because I'm going to put you in a fucking triangle and I'm going to put you up. So I've worked a lot of my jits to be more comfortable letting my boxing flow. I've gotten back to my roots, like I said before. I was originally a boxer. My family's from Ireland, bunch of boxers. I went back to that kind of base. So for a long time, I worked on my weaknesses and kind of put my strength on the back burner to try and grow those weaknesses. And I've learned that instead of doing that, I can use my base, use that strength that I have to make everything else better. And I think that's been a big game changer for my pace, my accuracy of strikes, where I'm putting things, and, just the flow of how I fight in general. I think that I'm going to knock him out with high pressure. I'm going to put body shots on him. He better cover his fucking liver. And once he wilts, I'm going to finish it. I'm telling you, there's no way that with my pressure and my boxing skill that he's not going to break. There's no shot. I guarantee you. So he's either going to come in there wicked pissed at me because I'm talking a ton of shit and dump, or he's just going to be lackluster. I just don't see where he beats me.
So we're obviously you're very fired up, which I like to see, especially with what we talked about at the beginning here. So I'm curious, just kind of based on that, you said that you sort of you fall into that sort of depressive mind state, win or lose, because once the air of the fight is over, it's just like, now what? You know what I mean? So what kinds of things are you doing to sort of prepare yourself for that? Have you thought about that in different ways you can, I don't know if you could avoid it altogether, but at least sort of negate it in a way as much as you can?
If I can give it, I would say just get back in the game. Don't take too long off. When I'm stagnant or I don't have a goal for myself in the distance, then that's when I get depressed. I'm very, very objective oriented. So if I don't have a mission or I seem lost, I'm just kind of floating around, that's when I get depressed. So after fights are everything that I think about. When I have a fight, it's all my focus is on. That's all I have. I put all my energy toward it. I put my own life and relationships and people on the back burner so that I can focus everything on the fight. So When I get off, I have other avenues. Okay, so I can do commentary here. I can do jiu-jitsu competitions. I can, like things to just keep me competitive. Stay. It's therapeutic, but I write down everything that I do during training or ideas or I work with people for, t-shirts and shit like that. As long as I stay business oriented and stay within, if I stay busy, I'm fine. You know what I mean? I need to stay busy and constantly keep moving. If I don't have like an objective in front of me, like if I fight right now and I don't know that I'm going to fight, before August, I'm going to lose my fucking mind. You know what I mean? I'm going to lose. Right. So as soon as I get done this fight, I'll take a couple days and then I'll sit down with my team and be like, all right, what the fuck are we doing next? Because I need to be here. And if I'm not here, I'm going to lose it. And I don't want to do that. So it's mostly just like being communicative with my team, staying active as much as I can.
So it seems like you have plans for what you want to do. You get a win or two, hopefully get that call back from Shelby and Dana and see where that goes. So let's just say we're not looking past what's going on January 25th. Where are we if we're having this conversation a year from now, what are we talking about?
We're talking about me getting $50,000 bonuses. I will goddamn be in the UFC by the end of this year. I don't give a fuck what it takes. I don't care if I look like mangled hamburger meat by the time I get there. I will be in the UFC by the end of 2020. I don't give a fuck what I have to do. Or I'll be signed to a major promotion. I want to be in the UFC. That is not a thing that I take lightly. If that doesn't happen, there's other major promotions, that pay well, that do well. The UFC's the dream. The PFL is a great place as well. There's other places to go. So the UFC is not the end all be all. It's obviously where you want to be. In the next year, I will be signed either to the UFC or a major promotion. I don't give a shit what it takes. I will do it. So if I have to mow down every top contender around me to do that, I fucking absolutely will. Because and you can even, tell me if I'm wrong, but any time that someone said something's going to be a war between me and somebody else, I fuck that other person up real good. From Chad Kelly to Johnny Cupcakes, you know what I mean? No offense, to Kinmoy. All of them said that they were gonna beat me up. It was gonna be a war. I was in for it, and I beat the dog shit out of these people every single time. So, like I said, the dark horse thing and the whole thing that people really overlook the fact that I beat people that I'm not supposed to just roll over, And Diego's just gonna be another example of that. You can be as good as you want, you can have this grip, but on fight night, I fucking show up, and I said it on the Contender, and I'll say it to the end of time. There is not a single person on my best day that's just going to whoop my fucking ass. Absolutely not. So, Diego, I don't know what you got in your mind. I don't know what he thinks is just going to happen. But when he goes in there, understand, I'm there to fight. I'm not there to do anything. I'm not there to hug and hold him on the ground. And I want to beat him up because I need to for, like, my soul. This isn't even for anything else. I need it for me. And that makes me a dangerous man at this point because it's not even for money. It's not even for anything else. Obviously, the UFC is good, but this fight in particular is for me to get back to what I love to do. And everybody's going to fucking see the difference between doing a job and doing what you love to do.
Damn, if you're watching this right now and you are not fired up for January 25th, I don't know what's wrong with you, honestly. I'm fired up for this fight. I can't wait for it. It all goes down January 25th. Jay Perrin back in action, Cage Titans 47. Before we let you go, man, this is awesome. We'll have to do this again sometime. You got me all jacked up right now. I'm going to have to go run 14 miles here, but let the folks know where they can find and follow you on the web, social media, any shout-outs, anything else you want to get off your chest. The floor is yours, sir.
Hey, man, thank you for having me on here. Shout out to Team Siotong crew, Mark Delagrati, Andy Cote, everybody over there. My sponsors, Butcher Box Sports, DC Mouthguards, Iridium Sports Agency, all that. You guys can find me on Instagram at killing_joke45. Yeah, it's my shtick. You'll get it. Other than that, guys, I hope you all come out to the fight. If you can't, watch it on FloCombat. I love FloCombat. All of it. You know what I mean? I do this because it's entertainment, so be prepared to be entertained. Diego, if you're fucking watching this, dude, you better bring a heart with you, because if you don't, dude, I'm going to bury you in Plymouth.
What a promo! Not much else you can say after that. Thank you, Jay. All the best to you for the rest of this camp and in the fight on the 25th, man.
Thank you, boss.